Lindsay, sorry it took a moment to get in the room. There was a meeting where the mic gets turned on. Great, thank you.
Testing. Testing. Good? Testing, testing, testing. Okay.
And I have Crystal's box. I have the best of both worlds, right?
Should we move it back so that you don't need to?
That's for Crystal.
That's for
Why
Crystal.
don't you put it to the side and then you could take it?
It's just so obvious.
I know you're gonna
For now. We gotta codify it.
Guess I should put these on so I can see. Better. Good afternoon, everyone. Today, the council will be voting on the Department of City Planning Zoning for Housing Opportunity citywide text amendment with modifications estimated to create over 82,000 new homes over 15 years as part of an agreement to invest $5 billion into the council's City for All housing plan. This represents a major step forward for the city to confront our housing crisis. This council has consistently shown the importance of it playing a constructive role in advancing housing solutions across the city. We recognize the severity of the decades in the making housing crisis, the impact it is having on working and middle-class New Yorkers, and the urgency required of us to advance bold solutions that match the scale of this challenge. Since 2022, we have approved the development of more than 27,000 units of new housing through the land use process, with more than half being affordable homes. This includes major projects like Innovation Queens that many doubted our ability to chart a successful path forward to advance. Today is another step forward by this council to advance meaningful housing solutions that lower costs to make our city affordable and ensure housing as a stabilizing force. Throughout the public review process for DCP's citywide zoning text amendment proposal, we heard the voices of residents across the city, including those who are concerned about what it could mean for their neighborhoods. Our modifications to the zoning reforms balance respect for neighborhood character, because not all districts are alike. With the citywide need to build more housing, especially to build affordable homes, our modifications prioritized creating the greatest number of homes while maintaining the fair housing principle that every neighborhood contributes in a plan that could be approved. This council has led efforts to make housing more affordable, especially at the deepest levels needed by most New Yorkers. We have championed the importance of home ownership through support for existing homeowners and the expansion of opportunities to own a home for more working-class New Yorkers to stay in our city. We are proud of what we were able to secure through the Council's City for All housing plan in conjunction with modifications to the citywide zoning text amendment. City for All was formulated with the input of council members, advocates, and most importantly, New Yorkers who made their housing concerns and challenges abundantly clear to us. While we recognize the importance of zoning reform to build more housing, especially amidst a housing shortage, we knew more was needed to keep New Yorkers housed and address growing housing insecurity. We successfully secured a historic $5 billion commitment towards key investments. With this funding, we will make homes more affordable and preserve existing affordable housing, including NYCHA and Mitchell-Lama, support home ownership, protect tenants, strengthen our city's housing agencies, invest in the sewer, street, and open space infrastructure of communities, and encourage neighborhood rezoning plans that can produce more housing in the coming years. This is the type of comprehensive housing plan and level of investment that New Yorkers require to address their wide-ranging housing needs. And yet, we know there is still so much more to do. Advancing solutions to difficult problems isn't easy, but it can be done when we unite behind the common goal to focus on what is best for New Yorkers and the future of our communities and the city that we all love. I thank Chairs Salamanca and Riley for their leadership, and our Housing Chair Sanchez, and other members who supported this major effort. I thank the Department of City Planning Director Garodnik and his staff, as well as the City Hall housing staff, who partnered closely with me, closely with my office, and closely with the entire council to negotiate this agreement. The contribution of $1 billion from the state by Governor Hochul was also very critical. And of course, I thank the many New Yorkers who made their voices heard regarding their own housing challenges. This is who we do this work for. Now let's move on to our stated agenda. First, we will vote on the following finance items. A preconsidered resolution sponsored by Councilmember Justin Brannan, authorizing a 40-year Article 11 tax exemption for the preservation of one rental building in Councilmember Dinowitz's district. A preconsidered resolution sponsored by Councilmember Brannan, authorizing a 2.5-year Article 5 tax exemption for the preservation of two rental buildings in Councilmember Salam's district. A preconsidered resolution sponsored by Councilmember Brannan, authorizing a 40-year Article 11 tax exemption for the preservation of two rental buildings in Councilmember Salam's district. And a transparency resolution approving new designations and changes of certain organizations receiving funding in the expense budget. Next, we will vote on the mayor's appointment of Muriel Goodtrue-Font to the position of corporate counsel. Today, we will also vote on the following pieces of legislation. The first two bills are a part of Aging Committee Chair Crystal Hudson's Age in Place 2.0 legislative package. Introduction 1022A, sponsored by Council members Jennifer Gutierrez and Crystal Hudson, would require the Commissioner of the Department for the Aging to conduct a 3-year study on naturally occurring retirement communities and neighborhood naturally occurring retirement communities in New York City. The study would identify potential NORCs and NNORCs, assess the needs of older adults, evaluate necessary improvements, and collect data on demographic trends and health outcomes. Councilmember Gutierrez couldn't join us today, but we do thank her for her work on this legislation. Introduction 1054A, sponsored by Chair Hudson, would require the Commissioner of the Department for Aging to submit a 10-year Aging in Place plan that would focus on assisting older adults with aging in place throughout New York City. I invite Chair Hudson to the podium and to her stand-up box here to discuss her legislation.
Thank you kindly. Get myself together here. Good afternoon, and thank you, Madam Speaker, for the opportunity to speak on my bill and that of Councilmember Gutierrez. Intros 1054A and 1022A, respectively. I'm proud to stand alongside this speaker and my colleagues as we pass two more bills from my Age in Place 2.0 legislative package, which brings us halfway to making the entire Age in Place 2.0 package law. Older adults are the future, and it is our responsibility to support and protect the jewels of our communities, as the speaker calls them, not just today, but tomorrow, the next day, and every day thereafter. And the Age in Place 2.0 legislative package is a clear demonstration that this council is committed to doing just that. This city's older adult population, New Yorkers ages 60 and older, will increase by a whopping 40% over the next 15 years by 2040. And today, the city isn't prepared, but we have a solution for that. My bill, Intro 1054, will ensure New York City has a comprehensive, long-term strategy to help older adults age in place by requiring the Commissioner of the Department for the Aging, in collaboration with other city agencies, to develop and submit a 10-year plan that outlines how we can better support older adults across the city. This plan will propose key projects and recommendations to help older adults stay in the neighborhoods that not only they know and love, but that they've cultivated and nurtured for decades. In addition, Intro 1022A, sponsored by Councilmember Gutierrez, will ensure the city has a clear plan for naturally occurring retirement communities, or NORCs, by identifying emerging NORCs and assessing their needs, supporting our broader goal of helping older adults age in place across the 5 boroughs. Legislation alone, however, is not enough. We also need to ensure aging services receive the robust funding they need, something they haven't for far too long. A budget that makes up less than 0.5% of the city's $112 billion budget to serve a demographic that will soon be 20% of the city's total population is simply not enough. But more on that at another time. Thank you. Thank you.
Thank you, Councilmember Hudson. All right. Next, as I mentioned, we'll vote on the following land use items. City of Yes zoning for housing opportunity, a citywide zoning text amendment to modify residential height, density, parking requirements, affordability, urban design, and other aspects of zoning regulations with the goal of increasing housing development across all neighborhoods. In response to robust community engagement, the council is modifying the proposal in three primary ways. First, to make new housing development more contextual with existing neighborhoods, particularly for blocks of small homes. Second, to increase the amount of affordable housing that will be created and make sure it reaches lower incomes. And third, to protect existing homeowners and tenants. Specifically, the council is reducing the applicability of ADUs, particularly in flood-prone areas, and restricting ADUs to homes that are owner-occupied. The council is limiting transit-oriented development in certain areas with small homes and different transportation needs. Additionally, the council is protecting open spaces on campus developments and preserving rear yards of row houses and semi-detached houses. The council is also introducing a parking scheme which is responsive to the different needs of communities while prioritizing housing development. It eliminates parking mandates where residents have short commutes, reduces them where commute times are longer or cross-neighborhood commuting is a challenge, and preserves requirements where residents have few public transit options and parking is likely to be provided by housing developers. An important and historic modification by the council creates affordable housing with incentives in low-density areas, bringing inclusionary zoning citywide for the first time in New York City. This will ensure that the creation of affordable housing is possible in every part of the city. Next, Introduction 850A, sponsored by Councilmember Rafael Salamanca, would require the Department of Housing Preservation and Development, or HPD, to submit biannual reports to the council regarding city-financed affordable housing development projects involving the disposition of city property. I invite Councilmember Salamanca to discuss his bill and the Zoning for Housing Opportunity text amendment.
Thank you, Madam Speaker. Buenos dias. As chair of the Committee on Land Use for the last 7 years, I have had the privilege of overseeing the approval of over 100,000 units of new housing across New York City. In my district alone, I've approved over 10,000 units of 100% affordable housing, the most within the council since being elected. Unfortunately, there's a sad reality. Despite the lengthy negotiation it takes to approve a project and the critical need within our communities for new housing, the City Department of Housing and Preservation and Development often takes years to provide the necessary project funding to facilitate a development's groundbreaking, delaying much-needed housing in the process. Much to the frustration of elected officials, developers, and constituents alike, this is a reality that happens far too frequently, and often without any rhyme or reason. In my district, I have had projects, 100% affordable housing projects, wait 5 years to close, much to the disappointment of the local community who were patiently waiting for more than 500 units of housing that will be created as part of this project. And of those 500 units, only half of the project has been approved, leaving the other 250 units in the black hole that is HPD's pipeline, and yet another vacant lot in the South Bronx. My district is far from the only one that has experienced these delays. And let me tell you, these delays have real-life consequences as well. Rents that were originally agreed upon during the ULURP go up as local AMIs rise from year to year. Construction costs go up and property overheads go up, resulting in a far more expensive project than from when it was originally approved. This lack of transparency is why I introduced Intro 850, which would require HPD to report biannually when projects can expect to receive financing as part of the agency's twice-a-year closing period. If a project does not close within a targeted cycle, HPD would be required to report the reasoning and when a new closing date is expected. HPD would also be required to report how many city subsidies go into each project. Mandating this information to be public is an important step in understanding how and who the city prioritize the development of housing across New York City. I thank Madam Speaker for your leadership on this issue, and I look forward to the full support of my colleagues at today's stated meeting. Thank you.
Thank you, Council Member. The following bills are sponsored by Councilmember Pirina Sanchez, Chair of the Committee on Housing and Buildings. They are critical bills that will complement the passage of the modified zoning for housing opportunity text amendment. Introduction 654A would implement a renewed version of the J51 tax abatement program for rehabilitation and renovation projects of certain multiple dwelling buildings as authorized by the state. Introduction 1127A would establish a basement and cellar dwelling unit legalization program in certain community districts. The program would include an application process for building owners to receive authorization for temporary residence for units, inspection by the Department of Buildings of such units, and provision of technical assistance and outreach by the Department of Housing Preservation and Development. And Introduction 1128A would allow for the construction of ancillary dwelling units and establish eligibility and design requirements in one or two family dwellings. Requirements would include ADUs to have separate utilities and entrances from the primary dwellings, to meet standards for light, ventilation, and emergency access to units, and to include means of fire prevention. Finally, this bill would prohibit basement and cellar ADUs in flood hazard areas. I invite Councilmember Sanchez to the podium to discuss her legislation and the Zoning for Housing Opportunity text amendment. Help her, Kevin.
Thank you, Madam Speaker. Yes, everyone, the kid is still inside. Thank you so much, Speaker. I just want to take a moment and speak out of turn, and thank you so much for your leadership on the City of Yes for Housing Zoning Text Amendment and City for All by the City Council. And under your leadership, it's just remarkable what we've been able to negotiate to get here today. I'm proud to have championed Intro 654, which reestablishes the J51 tax incentive. And there are many things to talk about today, so I just want to highlight that 654 can save up to 166,000 families that are living in co-ops and condos across the city of New York thousands of dollars each year, while enabling buildings across the city to comply with the ambitious and necessary climate goals of Local Law 97, which are expensive for buildings, we've heard time and again. 654, the J51 renewal, will be accessible to low-cost residential properties across the city. And with Intro 654, we can upgrade our housing, put money back into the pockets of everyday New Yorkers, and green our cities. As was mentioned, 1127 and 1128 are companion bills to the City of Yes Zoning for Housing text amendment, providing necessary building code updates to ensure that ADUs and basements are safe for existing. Important, there are 400,000 people currently living in basements today, so we're acknowledging that reality, and we're protecting future residents. Important clarifications include addressing fire risk, carbon monoxide poisoning risk, flooding, heating, ventilation, electrical systems, gas, and emergency service systems. Thank you.
Thank you. Finally, we will vote on two bills sponsored by Councilmember Jim Gennaro, Chair of the Committee on Environmental Protection, Resiliency, and Waterfronts, that will address sewer, flooding, and other infrastructure concerns. Introduction 814A would require the Department of Environmental Protection, or DEP, to update the sewer backup prevention plan by 2025 and conduct regular updates thereafter. The bill would also require DEP to provide timely notice to residents and complainants when it determines that certain sewer backups have occurred. Introduction 815A would require DEP, in consultation with the Department of Buildings and the Office of Long-Term Planning and Sustainability, to create and regularly update an interim flood risk area map, identifying areas at risk of flooding due to 10-year rainfall events and sea level rise, as well as coastal flood areas with a 1% or greater chance of flooding in any year. I invite Councilmember Gennaro to discuss his important legislation.
Thank you, Madam Speaker. Pleasure to be here. The Speaker did a great job on Intro 814A, so I think I'll just skip to, for brevity, skip to 815. That's the one that has the tie-in to the City of Yes. Intro 815A builds off 814A, and that it creates a special designation for inland flood hazard areas. And maps these areas, an action that is long overdue. It is imperative that we recognize the growing dangers of heavy rainstorms, so-called cloudbursts, and the communities that have inland flooding. Okay. Getting my pages straightened out. I'm almost there. This bill provides the tools and data we need to protect residents and property in areas outside traditional flood zones. By mapping inland flood hazards caused by heavy rain, we enable smarter planning and more effective emergency responses. Intro 15A also creates a coastal flood map in addition to the inland flood area map. So it's like two sets of maps. These maps, unlike the FEMA flood maps, do anticipate the impact of sea level rise. These new data from these maps will serve many purposes. Notably, particularly for today, it will help inform the city's stormwater planning as DEP aims to increase the capacity of stormwater infrastructure to address increased rainfall. And as the speaker mentioned, it will be an important resource for mapping the appropriate and safe placement of ADUs. Together, this package of bills represents a proactive approach to dealing with the growing impacts on climate change on our city. These bills will save lives, protect property, and pave the way for a more sustainable New York City. Thank you all. Thank you, Madam Speaker. Thank you, colleagues.
Thank you so much. Before we conclude, I want to call Councilmember Kevin Riley, Chair of the Subcommittee on Zoning and Franchises, to the podium. Chair Riley led the 14-and-a-half-hour public hearing on the Zoning for Housing Opportunity Text Amendment, and I would be very, very happy if he would close us out today.
He did ask to use the box.
Don't embarrass me, Councilmember Hudson. Good afternoon, everyone. I hope everyone had a very lovely holiday season. As chair of the Subcommittee on Zoning and Franchises, I'm proud to stand here today as the City Council prepares to vote on the City of Yes Zoning for Housing Opportunity, a cornerstone for the Council's City for All plan. This initiative builds on the modifications approved by my subcommittee and the Committee on Land Use last week, highlighting our commitment to a thoughtful and collaborative approach to tackling the city's housing crisis. Supported by $5 billion in critical investment and groundbreaking zoning reforms, this plan is expected to deliver over 82,000 new housing units. Importantly, it ensures that every neighborhood contributes to addressing the housing crisis while maintaining and respecting their local character and addressing unique community needs. The City of Yes Zoning for Housing Opportunity is the most ambitious pro-housing initiative in our city's history. It directly confronts affordability challenges and housing insecurities while also creating opportunities for home ownership, preserving existing affordable housing, and strengthening resources for our neighborhoods across all 5 boroughs. This progress would not have been possible without the leadership of Madam Speaker Adrienne Adams, the Department of City Planning, and my colleagues, and most importantly, our land use team, and the tireless advocates who have championed this vision. Together, we are laying the foundation for New York City that is inclusive, equitable, and affordable for generations to come. I'm proud to support this transformative plan and look forward to the positive changes it will bring for all New Yorkers across this great city. Thank you.
Okay, that concludes our stated agenda. With that, we will all take on-topic questions first.
Thank you. We're going to keep it limited to one question per turn. Bob, we'll start with you.
Yes, Speaker, for people that watch land use in New York City over the decades and generations, there's been a concern that consistently the real estate industry has this process wired through donations and campaign support. What can you tell people who've been studying this and seen how working people and low-income people have been losing? Why is this bill different? Why should they believe that a corner's been turned?
I think a lot of the reason that this is different is because, and unfortunately it's taken us this long to get here, we're talking about no changes since 1961. I think that is just an incredible mirror to put to our own faces and realize that we can actually do something about it. If we did nothing about it, then we would still remain at the same place where we are. I believe that New Yorkers can feel confident, number one, that there is representation diverse representation for the first time. To me, that is very critical in who is representing and responsible for this response to the City of Yes in the City for All proposal. So we believe in the City of All proposal. We believe that this is needed and necessary, and we are very, very proud that this council has worked so, so hard to make this happen for the people.
Madam Speaker, what would you tell New Yorkers about when they'll feel the results of this? So you pass this today.
Yep.
The 82,000 units are by 2040, which is 16 years from now. So when would a New Yorker who's searching for housing today feel that this is real?
That's a twofold answer to that. Because as you know, Andrew, there are some folks that really didn't want anything done, so who will be happy if everything looks status quo forever. And then there are folks, as you said, that really, really need this immediately. Housing takes time. All of this takes time. This is over a 15-year period. So I dare say that this particular plan is going to be expansive and far-reaching over the 15 years. What I can also say to the immediacy of all of this is that built within this proposal are also the other things that are available to us, the vacant apartments right now, the conversions in the apartments right now, other means, we've got zombie apartments right now. So there are other areas, not just this particular modification, but there are also many other avenues that we are looking for the administration to follow to meet those immediate needs.
The council wanted, as you noted, significant funding commitments to this plan. Can you talk about how the deal ensures that the city and state will keep to those commitments and not potentially walking back?
Thank you for the question. It relates back to my answer to what I just answered to Bob's question. The immediacy and the critical nature of what New York City is up against, I think, is proof pudding enough. And what we heard in Chair Riley's hearing for almost 15 hours, residents and New Yorkers letting us know that sustainability is not possible unless we move, unless we do something. So that gives us a whole lot of certainty that this is going to move forward in the best interest of New Yorkers, move forward in the best interest of folks that we have lost, which was a big priority of mine in negotiations. Losing over 200,000 members of minority communities over almost 2 decades is unacceptable. We want them to come back. So we are going to hold the state and local representation accountable for their promises to make this go forward. That's what the modifications are all about. Hi, Nick.
Sort of like philosophical question. Over the last year or so, I've heard you talk about thinking about this plan in terms of getting people on board and working collaboratively to sort of get members to a point where they feel comfortable with it. But at this point, it does seem clear that there will be plenty of no votes, and obviously we saw just how many communities said no to this in the community board process. Have you gotten to a point where you're comfortable telling members or telling communities, like, look, you may not like this, but this is just what we have to do regardless, like knowing the politics of housing in the city and how uncomfortable people are with new development in any form? Has your thinking changed on that at all?
Yeah, thank you for the question. I think that's been our messaging all along. We've gotten many, many responses, positive, negative, and everything in between when it comes to this proposal. I think the messaging, though, has to be the modifications at this point for people to realize that the initial proposal that was brought before the council is not what we will be passing. We will be passing the modifications for City for All, and I think that is really, really the clear distinction of what has been more palatable for neighborhoods, and realizing that we have respected all neighborhoods, that we have respected quote unquote the character of neighborhoods, where folks want to remain in that character while doing their fair share of creating housing. Our members do understand, and have been touting the message, the severity of the housing crisis, and they know that we have to take bold action to address the needs of our constituents. That's very, very critical for all of us. So with the modifications and commitments secured by the council and City for All, I am confident that we will have the votes. Hi.
What are your thoughts on the mayor's involvement in this process? I noticed you thanked city staffers and others, but you didn't thank the mayor. So I guess, what are some of your frustrations
Well, thank you for the question. I'm going to say again that my team and I worked very, very hard. With the administration, we worked very, very hard and very closely with Director Garodnick, who was a member of this council, who I feel that really, really felt the way the council members feel, so he was able to bring that into his work with city planning. And we worked really closely with City Hall housing staff. We were able to, successfully partner with them to get this across the finish line. So again, through the partnerships, through myself and all of the teams involved, we were able to do this. Through the partnerships with myself and my able staff and the administrative staff, we were able to make this a success.
Madam Speaker, talked about the basement situation.
Yes.
There are so many people right now, immigrants and of course the undocumented, who tend to be afraid and never report things, and you see so many accidents. How will this program help them, and when, in a time frame?
I'm going to let Councilmember Sanchez answer that. We're going to give her a couple of seconds to get here. But I will let you know that in my own district, particularly in the Richmond Hill section, a lot of sections across the city, as you mentioned, basement apartments have been an item forever. So what we are doing is that we are regulating basement apartments to make them safe. And I think that is the most critical piece out of all of this. We don't want people drowning. We don't want residents fearful because there are no adequate means of egress in the case of an emergency. So that is what this is all about, regulation and making sure that people are now safe in these places.
Thank you, Speaker. ¿En español o en English?
We can do it in English and in Spanish, but basically
Sure.
what I want to know is the time frame,
Yep.
how it would work, and how will people find out, especially those who are undocumented and living on illegal basements
Yep.
right now.
Yeah, absolutely. I think it's really important to note that this is not the first time that the City Council and the state legislature have tried to bring basement apartments out of the shadows, but we've run into a lot of obstacles with people who are interested. There have been thousands of homeowners that have been interested in converting their apartments to make them safe and address things like fire safety, flood risk. But today what we're doing is we're changing, we're easing the zoning requirements, and we're clarifying through the legislation what we're easing the requirements in legislation as well, so that it is more accessible, right? So the time frame for the zoning text amendment is quite immediate. We're changing the laws right away, which is going to enable more homeowners to come to us and become eligible for the conversions. And the last point I wanted to note is that there are funds attached to these programs. So it is expensive to make sure that you have the height, the ceiling heights. You're going to have to do things like change the way that your doors open, right? A lot of the lives that we lost in Hurricane Ida were because the people couldn't open their doors. They had to open their doors out instead of open their doors in. Making a change like allowing your door to open in is going to save lives, right? So there are going to be funds attached to the programs to enable.
In Spanish, talk about the notifications and how people
Yeah.
can come to you to ask for this.
Sí, entonces nosotros hoy estamos cambiando las regulaciones para que sea más fácil para que los que son dueños de casa puedan convertir en sus sótanos en apartamentos sanos y seguros. Porque hemos tratado en el pasado, pero lo que ha ocurrido es que es muy difícil, las regulaciones eran demasiado complicadas y entonces no pudieron muchos dueños no pudieron aprovechar del programa. Entonces, estos cambios van a hacer que más dueños puedan venir y cambiar sus apartamentos y hacerlo de forma más barata. Y también estas leyes tienen fondos que van a ayudar a los dueños que puedan pagar. ¿Sí? Sí. Sí. Sí, claro. Bueno, unos ejemplos de los cambios que estamos modificando aquí es requerimientos que van a salvar vidas. Por ejemplo, las 13 personas que murieron durante el huracán Ida, eso fue porque no pudieron abrir sus apartamentos porque las puertas salen para afuera y la presión del agua no lo ayudaron. Entonces, nosotros estamos modificando las leyes para decir muy claramente tienen que abrir para adentro las puertas, que son para apartamentos de sótanos, y también regulaciones de de qué tan alto tienen que ser los techos, cómo vamos a prevenir los fuegos y eso. Muy importantes detalles para mantener a los neoyorquinos seguros.
Madam Speaker, when my colleague over there asked you about kind of selling this, and your members are headed into an election cycle this year coming up, you mentioned sort of the modifications, but I'm wondering to what extent you're emphasizing them to make the affirmative case. Your kids can stay, your parents can stay, all the New Yorkers that won't be lost. What is the importance of that message? Some of this may be uncomfortable, but your people can stay here.
Great question, and that's a question that I take very personally, because I want my children to stay. I want my grandchildren to stay. I want those that have left to come back. So very, very personal, and that is the message that I always, the style that I work with my colleagues with. It's very personal. Style. Again, and we can do this because we come from a lot of the same places, just in different boroughs. So we can talk very candidly about the needs in our boroughs. The council members have concerns, as do their constituents. So when we pull into the fact that, yes, we are the spokespeople and the representatives for our constituents, but we are also the wider perspective for the entire city as well. We have to be able to weigh both things, and I understand if some council members, are more, focused on one end than the other. I get it, but the messaging that I like to present is that we are council members for the city of New York, encompassing our own districts that we represent. And so particularly when it comes to housing, and I've said this from day one, and my colleagues can attest to that, we cannot be the council that says no to giving people places to live, right? So that's been my mantra. For the past, 3 years or so. So I'm just, sounding like I've always sounded since, taking this role as speaker. But now with this particular piece, it becomes even more critical because we are given this opportunity to create this thing. If we don't do anything, which I don't think is an option, which is why we had to take this proposal and kind of look at every little section and give folks as much as we could to make it happen and make it as palatable as possible for all of our districts. Yes, some districts still have a problem with it, and that's okay. And we allow people, to feel how they want to feel. The bottom line is that we cannot not do anything. This council cannot sit idly by and allow the homeless population to grow and we sit by and we watch it and do nothing. We cannot allow the flight from our city in certain communities to continue on and not do anything. We cannot allow the prevalence of flooding in basement apartments and not do anything. This council and these members were put here for a specific reason, and that is to serve the people of the city of New York. And I believe that however my members choose to serve their constituents, they will show that today.
Good afternoon, Madam Speaker.
Good afternoon.
You mentioned in your remarks that not all districts are created equal. They're not only like, I believe you said. There's an entire borough of Staten Island that is not considered itself alike to the rest of the city. Its 3 council members have told me that they're not going to be voting in favor of this. What sort of efforts did you make to get them to a yes, particularly Councilwoman Hanks? And why do you think they ultimately were not able to get to that yes vote?
Great question. Staten Island is very, very unique and very special to all of us. We recognize that there are unique needs for Staten Island. Our land use team was very, very, very intentional in presenting, not just to the entire, all of the conferences in the council, but also to every member that wanted the representation and the presentation of this proposal from start to finish so that explanations could be given, so that council members felt confident and competent in delivering the message across their districts to their constituents who have very, very strong concerns. All was done for, like I said, every single district. Staten Island, like I said, is very, very unique. We respect that. We respect the uniqueness of that borough, and for however the representation is presented in those 3 districts, we respect that, and we respect our council members for whatever presentation they want to make today by representing their districts by their votes. Hi, Kelly. Oh.
So you've said it a little bit already about making it palatable. Some people thought that the initial plan was already really modest.
Yeah.
108,000 units over 15 years. They brought it down to 82,000 units. Do you feel like it was necessary to make the concessions? and give up that potential for those 30-plus units in order to get it to the final finish line? Why couldn't you have stayed closer to that 100,000 number instead of bringing it down?
Great question. Feel better, first of all. I think that the important thing to note here is that in receiving this proposal, this council could have chosen not to do anything. We could have pushed it back and said, no, we're not going to do anything because this proposal is extreme. It doesn't look like the feel. It is zoning only, which really does not guarantee affordability for where people live, be it ownership or rental. But what we chose to do, like I just said, was do something. We had to do something. And so taking a look at, again, and hearing, I hearkened back to the hearing, the brilliant hearing, commandeered by my colleague here, and hearing the voices of New Yorkers and what mattered to them on either side of the coin of this initial proposal. Those are the ingredients that we took to mix up this soup to finally come up with this meal, which now, comes up to a very, very great number still, over 82,000 units compared to 0. I think that is a very, very important place to start.
Thank you. Any off-topic questions? Kelly?
Hi.
So the mayor said on Tuesday he's open to deporting illegal immigrants after they've been charged with a crime. He said he's going to talk to the board czar about how to implement that. What's your view on that, and could the council do something to stop that, or are you worried that the mayor could enact that using an executive order?
Our laws are already here to protect it. Our laws do not block any compliance with immigration detainers for people convicted of serious and violent crimes. So the city law, as it already stands, doesn't interfere in the criminal legal process, nor federal immigration law. So there is, I still think, a level of misinformation being promoted out there by those who really do want city agencies to be used as an arm of the federal government. The federal government still has the jurisdiction to do what they always have been able to do. So we are going to stand with the laws that are here. We firmly believe, of course, that it's unacceptable for anyone to commit a crime, regardless of immigration status. That is a given. But the city certainly doesn't stand in the way of federal law being enforced as is.
The mayor gave at Tuesday's press conference the sense, I think almost directly saying the U.S. Constitution did not protect non-citizens. And I'm just looking here at Penn State law and asking it, it's on the internet, but it's Penn State law. Yeah, immigrants are protected by the U.S. Constitution. The brief answer is yes. When it comes to key constitutional provisions like due process and equal treatment under the law, the U.S. Constitution applies to all persons, which includes both documented and undocumented immigrants and not just U.S. citizens.
Correct.
Is that the law?
That is the law, sir. I believe in the U.S. Constitution, but the mayor may need to brush up on it a bit. So what you read is absolutely correct.
Speaker, the horrible shooting in Midtown with the United Healthcare CEO, I'm wondering if you share your thoughts on that. And if you're online or just talking to people, it's hard to miss this sort of frustration with the healthcare industry that this has brought to the surface as well. I'm wondering what, if any, efforts the council is making right now on healthcare regulation to help people that feel the healthcare industry has, health insurance industry, has wronged people.
Yeah, that's a broader question, I believe, for state jurisdiction. But what I will say is that what happened is horrendous, shocking, more than sad, and we hope that the perpetrator is caught sooner than later. The council is going to continue what we have always done through our chairs of health, our chairs of hospital and aging, of course, and other places in the city that do want to protect our health care. So we're going to continue to do what we've always done policy-wise, and that is to look forward to the future to protect New Yorkers. I can't really say, what exactly the details were and what was responsible for that horrendous act yesterday. All of that's going to come out in the wash, but that's it. Hi.
So next week, the council is going to hold a hearing on Intro 606, which would require the Department of Transportation to for people to register their e-bikes with the Department of Transportation.
Like all bills that go through the legislative process, I am always one who is very, very curious to hear the voices of those that will testify in front of us during the hearing. I am looking very carefully at the hearing, those that will come out and testify and give this council their opinion on this legislation. We know that there is a significant issue when it comes to, harm that is being done. Quite frankly, we can walk outside right now and just stand and watch, and there is an issue there. Again, my thought right now is to watch this hearing very closely, listen to the testimony that will be provided, and then proceed forward. Hi.
About the sanctuary city laws, the mayor has obviously repeatedly, now for almost a year, changing aspects of the sanctuary city laws. Where do you stand on that, and have you had any conversations with the mayor or his team about specifics of actually doing that?
Well, thank you for the question. And I've repeatedly said that we have no plan to change the law as it stands right now. The city doesn't interfere in the criminal legal process, nor the federal immigration law. I think that the larger question is to question ICE and their responsibilities to not deflect from their own legal responsibilities when it comes to the actions of those who commit crimes. A lot of the times this is turned, and we can continue to see this turned on sanctuary city law, but ICE has the ability to do what they've always had the ability to do. And the fact that this narrative has turned into the council somehow creating another law that is going to do something more than the existing law just is not true. We need to find out why enforcement is not happening the way that it should, and that's where our focus needs to be.
I wanted to stay on that topic
Okay.
again. So you say there's a lot of misinformation around this, and it's also coming from the mayor. Then does it concern you that he has this meeting coming up next week with Homan to talk about how he could potentially deport those individuals he feels are committing crimes here in the city if he doesn't actually understand the own law that governs his city?
Thank you for the question, Kelly. Again, feel better? My thoughts on that is that, of course, the mayor should meet with anyone that he needs to meet with, particularly when it comes to important issues pertaining to safety in our city. But again, the administration has to be clear and accurate when discussing city law and ensure that they abide by it instead of stoking fear and spreading misinformation. So we've historically been here in New York, as we all know, a home of immigrant communities who have built this city. And I feel that those communities need to be protected regardless of who is in the White House. We've supported our immigrant communities and defend the people of our city, which we're all going to continue to do. So, we're still as a council discussing with our partners and stakeholders in the city about how to ensure the city is prepared to ensure that the laws are enforced, as I previously said, that all residents are protected and immigrant communities are supported. I absolutely have, no issue with the mayor, once again, meeting with any member of the incoming administration. However, I still firmly believe in the laws that are here in New York. I believe that they can work if enforcement is indeed a priority. Thank you all.
Yo, you looking nice, my brother. Thank you.